Hello everyone. Today's topic is reviewing performance. So as you can see, throughout our discussion, we had a look at performance management process. As you can see here, prerequisites, performance planning, performance execution, performance assessment, performance review, and performance renewal and recontracting. So so far we have followed the order, and now we are in the performance review stage. So therefore, today discussion is based on the performance review. And if I give an overview about today's presentation, these are the contents. So performance review meeting, objectives of performance reviews, performance review problems, appropriate approaches to eliminate review problems, preparing for review meetings, and finally, we discuss golden rules for conducting performance review meetings. Moving, so what is the performance review? So as you can see here, the first part, although performance management is a continuous process, it is still necessary to have a formal review once or twice yearly. So after conducting performance measurements, so we have to uh, conduct a review. So basically, performance review is conducted by way of a performance review meeting. So therefore, if you follow best practices, so that meeting uh, should enhance the motivation of the employee, then that should be a very friendly, cordial meeting between the appraiser and the employee. So the time period, that depends on the organization's HR policy. However, basically performance reviews are conducted annually, but better if you can reduce it to like semi-annually, and then the employee is getting the feedback on his or her performance, and got a chance to make corrections as to the employee's performance if the performance is below the expected level. And then the performance review provides a focal point for the consideration of key performance and development issues. So in the performance review, we identify and communicate to our employees regarding the key performance and development issues. So when there are issues with respect to the key performance areas of the employee, then the organization has a responsibility to communicate that information. And then development issues, because now as we discuss throughout, the performance management is not a process we follow for uh, punishing employees, just it has a development purpose. So therefore, we have to discuss the development issues if there are some. And then the performance review stage involves the meeting between employee and the manager to review their assessments. As I told, so there's an interview type meeting with the employee and discuss the information regarding the employee's performance. And then this meeting is usually called the appraisal meeting or discussion. So in practice, we call it appraisal meeting or appraisal performance discussion. Uh, Performance appraisal meeting is important performance appraisal meeting is important because it provides a formal setting in which the employee receives feedback. So this is a process that we follow to give the feedback with respect to employees' performance. And then performance review meeting is the means through which the 5 primary performance management elements of agreement, measurement, feedback, positive reinforcement, and dialogue can be put to good use. What does it mean? That means now, if we can effectively communicate the performance related issues to the employee, then employee got a chance to take some corrective actions with regard to the poor performance. So therefore, the performance reviews are important for reinforcing or for smooth functioning of all the performance evaluation related the steps. Performance review meeting allows managers and individuals to take a positive look together. This is very important. So manager and employee get together and find solutions for performance related issues. At how performance can become better in future and how any problems in meeting performance standards and achieving objectives can be resolved. Because now, as we discussed previously, performance management means we have to align employee performance with overall organization's goals and objectives. Therefore, here in performance reviews, we are just seeing whether the employee contributed to the achievement of organization's objectives. If not, then we have to support the employee as to how employee can enhance his or her performance and support the achievement of organization's objectives. So performance review difficulties are there because now in any management action, right, we have to discuss the negative and positive side both. So therefore, definitely, even in the performance management system, once we conduct performance review, we have to come up with some issues. So 3 main sources of difficulty in conducting performance reviews: the quality of relationship. So therefore, the employer, the one who conducts performance interview, should maintain positive relationships. Therefore, that particular manager or officer should be trained in order to maintain positive relations with the respective employee or employees. So therefore, if the relationship management is poor, then we cannot achieve the objectives of performance reviews. So therefore, quality of the relationship between the manager and the individual, and also mutual trust. If there is no trust between the employee and the manager, then again, we can't gain success conducting performance review meetings. Therefore, as managers, you have to develop the positive relations as well as mutual trust once you involve in conducting performance reviews. And then number 2, the manner and the skill with which the interview is conducted. So the way you conduct interviews and your skills are also affected to the success of the performance review. So if you are skilled in conducting performance reviews, then you are able to maintain the positive relations, the friendly relations with the employee, right? The supportive attitude should be there. So those are the basic skills the appraisers or the one who possess the one who conduct the performance review should possess. And number three, the review process itself, its purpose. Because now the performance review main purpose is to discuss performance issues with the employee, not to punish or not to take some negative actions. Therefore, with the purpose of employee in the development and with the purpose of enhancing organizational performance, we should conduct performance reviews. And the methodology and documentation. So methodology, the way we conduct the performance review, whether we are conducting performance reviews uh, in without having face-to-face interviews, just sending some performance-related matters, the issues in writing by way of a document, or just conducting interviews. So likewise, you have to decide the method of conducting performance interviews. So ideal is having a face-to-face session with the employee. So all these factors are factors affecting the success of the performance review meeting. So next thing we have to discuss is objectives of performance reviews. So as you can see here in this slide, performance reviews, there are four main objectives. The one is planning, to provide the basis for pre-formulating the performance agreement and the performance and development plans incorporated in it. Because now this is a learning process. So therefore, the just conducting performance reviews, we can learn as an organization and take some actions to make the performance review process very effective in future, right? So therefore, performance planning is one objective of performance reviews. And then motivation, to provide positive feedback. So uh, the purpose of performance reviews is not to enhance organizational performance or to achieve organizational goals and objectives through employees, right? So therefore, this should be a effort to increase employee motivation as well. That's why we propose to have performance reviews as a very friendly, the cordial meeting. And then the learning and development, to provide a basis for self-managed learning and the development. As we discussed throughout, now these human resource management policy areas are linked together. That is called alignment. So therefore, performance reviews, so performance management is aligned with learning and development process. So if the performance is needs, if a particular employee's performance needs further improvements, then we have to send the employee through a learning and development process. So therefore, third objective of performance review is to link the performance of employee with the learning and development. And then finally, communication. So communication is also like motivation, provides a kind of psychological motivation, because now once if you can listen to performance related issues of the employee, if you are very effective in communication, then you can put the employee on the track. So therefore, the last objective of performance reviews is to have a very effective communication and to serve as two-way channel for communication about roles, expectations, etc. On whom should performance review should focus? Now, basically, the organizations focus the performance reviews on excellent performers and poor performance. That's strong. We have to focus on everyone. So, if the organization focus more attention on excellent performers and offer some rewards, and the poor performers sending them through training process, that's not enough. Therefore, we have to focus not only on that kind of employees but also on the employees who demonstrate uh, medium or moderate performance. We should not neglect the core of middle of the road performers. So therefore, performance reviews are important for everyone in the organization, not high performers and poor performers. Right? Even for middle level performance employees may also be motivated if there's a performance review process. Criteria. Criteria for assessing performance should be balanced between achievements in relation to objectives. So this is what performance management means. So always we are just making sure that the employee performance is aligned with the organization's objectives. So therefore, uh, even when we conduct performance reviews, performance interviews, so we have to compare employee performance against the organization's goals and objectives. And then the second point, the level of knowledge and skills possessed and applied. That means competencies. Therefore, the second performance criteria is the employee's level of competencies. And third one, behavior. So performance criteria. So performance behavior is also very important. Performance criteria we are looking at our employees when we appraise performance. And then degree to which the behavior upholds the core values of the organization and day-to-day effectiveness. And also we have to look at the day-to-day effectiveness. That means now whether the employees productivity level is high, whether the employee contributes to organizations achievement of organizations day-to-day targets like that. So the last performance criteria, day-to-day effectiveness. Then those who involved in performance review meetings with employees should possess some skills. They should be able to uh, conduct very effective interviews. They should possess good communication skills, good convincing skills, right? They should be skilled in providing the positive feedback. So therefore, performance review skills, this area discusses what kind of skills the evaluator should possess. One who conducts performance reviews should possess some performance review skills. As you can see here, the first bullet point giving feedback. So employee, the appraiser or the interviewer should be skilled in providing positive, encouraging feedback, and then agreeing on objectives. That means now, if we completely refuse the employee performance, if we completely uh, criticize employees, then we cannot achieve performance review objectives. So therefore, for good areas, the employees' satisfactory areas, we should agree on. Then assessing the performance and development needs. So the interviewer should have the skill of assessing the performance and development needs. While conducting the performance review interviews, the assessor, interviewer should be able to recognize, identify, and the development requirements and planning for performance improvement and carrying on a dialogue. So the appraiser uh, should plan for performance improvement and should continue a dialogue with the employees. Dealing with positive and negative elements. So when there are the negative elements, how we can deal with once we conduct performance reviews. So many of the line managers do not like handling out criticisms. Sometimes the managers may refuse, may not be willing to conduct performance reviews because uh, they will think like that will badly affect the relationship with the employee once they communicate some negative performance results of the employee. So therefore, many of the line managers do not like handling out criticisms. And performance reviews should not be regarded as an opportunity for attaching blame for things that have gone wrong in the past. So this effort is not for punishing or blaming employees, right? So if a particular manager or officer, right, misuse the performance review meetings for blaming or some taking some negative actions against the employee, then we cannot achieve the objectives of performance review meetings. And then positive elements should not be neglected. So uh, when we conduct interviews with the employee, we should not talk only about negative things. Even the positive elements we should focus on, and then we should appreciate such the positive elements. And then people are most receptive to the needs for further learning when they are talking about success. So we should empower employees. We should even obtain the employee involvement in performance management process. So that's why, as I explained you last times, right? Uh, when we conduct performance appraisals, sometimes we get the employee himself or herself for appraising their own performance. But this does not mean that underperformance should be unnoticed. So we have to motivate employees. We should not discourage employees, but it doesn't mean that we should identify only the positive aspects of employee. When there are employee performance related issues, then we have to pay attention of how employees on such performance related issues. Using reviews as a communication channel. So as I told you, the performance reviews serves as a communication between employer and employee. So therefore, if we are good at effectively communicating with our employees, then we can use such effective communication for enhancing employee performance and finally enhancing organizational performance. For that, we have to make sure the well-conducted review meeting provides quality time in which individuals and their managers can discuss matters. So throughout the interview, we have to conduct or we have to identify performance-related issues by having effective communication. And properly planned review meetings allow much more time and space for productive conversation and communication. And then review meeting often presents a good opportunity for upward communication. So this is a good opportunity for the employee to come up with some performance related suggestions, and even the employees may have some excuses for their low performance. So the performance reviews provide the platform for upward communication. It's an opportunity given to employees for uh, come up with their performance related issues. So that's why we identify performance reviews as upward communication. When should the reviews be held? As I told you at the very beginning, so performance reviews are conducted annually. However, corporate guidelines often suggest that managers should hold interim formal progress reviews. If you are going to wait until the end of the year, then you are going to be too late. So therefore, when there are performance related issues, once you conduct interim performance interviews during the year, then employee got a chance to uh, correct his or her performance related issues. So therefore, uh, ideally, organization can conduct annual performance reviews, but interim performance reviews should also be conducted during the year. Then we can communicate performance related matters to the employees until waiting until the last month of the year. So performance review problems are there. Identifying performance measures and criteria for evaluating performance, right? So if you cannot identify performance criteria, how can you evaluate performance? Therefore, if there's a practical difficulty of identifying performance criteria, that badly affects even for conducting performance reviews. And number two, collecting factual evidence about performance. So if you cannot identify, collect objective data, then the appraiser is not in a position to uh, give the performance feedback. So therefore, collecting factual evidence may be a problem for some in some situations. And number three, the existence of bias. Existence of bias on the part of managers. So if there are favorations, that's a performance review problem. So therefore, all the time we have to make sure that there are no favorations when once we conduct performance reviews. And number four, resolving conflict between reviewers and the people they review. So if there are conflicts between the managers and employees, then that will badly affect, negatively affect on performance reviews. And then defensive behavior exhibited by individuals in response to criticism. If employees do not accept their low performance, then employees will react defensively, right, without accepting the performance, low performance. That also will be a performance review problem. Okay, now approaches to eliminate review problems. So when there are review problems, then how we can uh, approach and eliminate such review problems. So these are the alternative approaches to eliminate review problems. Ensure that the criteria for evaluating performance cover agreed objectives. So that means now, before conducting performance evaluations, we have to discuss with our employees about the performance criteria. If they do not agree with performance criteria, then we cannot get employee support. Therefore, we have to agree on performance criteria, and we have to conduct performance reviews based on those agreed objectives, and then monitor performance throughout the year in relation to performance plans and agreed objectives. So rather than waiting until the last month of the year, we can continuously conduct performance reviews and then take steps to minimize bias. So how we can minimize bias? So when there are some relationships, then we can uh, identify such the officers, and we should keep such officers away from performance reviews. Otherwise, they will favor some of the employees. So we have to take some steps to minimize bias, as I told you. Just identifying employees who involved in some bias decisions, and also we can have independent the panel of interviewers to conduct performance review meetings. We can train employees of such officers for uh, being unbiased. Ensure that both managers and their staff understand the positive nature of the process. So we have to educate the employees as well as the managers who involved in performance reviews, and then we can minimize some the problems, and then encourage a positive approach by managers, so that by using constructive criticism rather than attracting blame, they can reduce defensive behavior. So the officers, managers involved in performance reviews, we can get such the officers to maintain positive relations with the employees. The purpose of a review meeting. Why we conduct a review meeting? So here you can find the answer. Provide an opportunity for frank, open, but non-threatening discussion. So frank, open, but non-threatening. That's very important. So our effort is not threatening employees. So giving the employees the information regarding their performance, and give the individual a chance to discuss his or her aspirations and any work problems. So we can listen to employees. They may have something to say about their performance. So this is a good opportunity for employees to convey their information to the organization and focus the attention of both the individual and manager on objectives and plans for the future. So when there are performance related improvements, then manager can identify the necessity of changing organizational performance management system. Therefore, we can use performance reviews for developing the performance management system of the organization. The things to do at a review meeting, what we should do in a review meeting. So we have to discuss achievements. So we have to appreciate if there are achievements, uh, excellent achievements, as well as if there are negative performance issues, then we have to discuss those also. And then assess the level of competence achieved against the headings and descriptors in the individual's role definition. So we can assess the level of employee competence and discuss the extent to which individuals' behavior is in accordance with the organization's core values. So if there are behavior related issues, then we can discuss such issues with the employee and identify any problems in achieving agreed objectives. As I told, sometimes the employees may have some excuses as to their low performance. So we can identify any problems in achieving agreed objectives uh, just listening to employees. So these are the things to do at review meeting. So therefore, we have to discuss about employee performance, then discuss about the achievements, and then assess the level of competence, discuss the individual behavior, and identify any problems in achieving objectives. Things to do at a review meeting. There are some other things also to do. Agree on any actions required to overcome problems. So we have to discuss with the possible solutions as well if the employee performance is not up to the standard. So then we can agree on such solutions and then agree on any changes to the role profile in terms of key resource areas, and then review and revise performance measures. Sometimes we may need to change the performance measures or standards. As an example, now as the organization, we decide particular daily target for a particular production employee, for example. But at the interview, if you realize that the given performance target is not realistic or unreasonable for employees, then we have to revise it. Likewise, we can review and revise the performance related matters and agree a performance plan for next review period. So if the performance is not up to the standard, then we can discuss with the employee what kind of plan we have to implement towards the employee. Maybe training programs, involvement, maybe some corrective actions the employees have to take. So we have to agree on such a performance plan. How a manager can prepare for a performance review? Then manager should initiate the main formal review meeting by informing the employee, discuss with the individual the purpose of meeting. So in advance, we have to communicate to the employees. This is the purpose of the performance review meeting, right? Enhancing your performance, not punishing you like that. And then the basis for preparation by managers should be the objectives, standards, competence, requirements, and plans agree at the last main review as amended during the year. So preparation by managers. So managers have to keep ready the objectives, performance objectives, the standards, the competency requirements, etc. And then achievements should be addressed by the application of appropriate performance measures. So achievements should be addressed by the application of appropriate performance measures. So we have to apply some performance measures to identify the achievements. So likewise, the manager should prepare for performance reviews, and then there are some rules for conducting performance review meetings. In other words, to make the performance review meetings very effective, we have to follow some guidelines, rules. So managers should prepare by referring to a list of agreed objectives. So we should have a list of agreed objectives. Individuals should also prepare in order to identify achievements and problems and to be ready to assess their own performance at the meeting. And then work to a clear structure. That's also very important. Work into a clear structure. And then golden rules for conducting performance review meetings. So here we discussed some rules. And then third one, create the right atmosphere. That means to conduct performance reviews, we have to create a right environment. As an example, now if the manager and the employee relationship is not there, right, then we have to make that relationship first, and then only we can get the manager and the employee for performance review meeting. So as the HR people, we should create the atmosphere for performance feedback. Okay, then provide good feedback. Good feedback in the sense uh, when there are negative aspects of performance, then we have to provide feedback. However, we have to make sure that positive aspects are also highlighted in the performance review. And then use the time productively. Next point is using the time productively. That means now when we involve in performance reviews, so it's going to be a interview for a certain number of minutes. So therefore, that should be a productive meeting with the appraiser or employer, the manager. Use praise. That means all the time we have to praise. We should not discourage our employees. We have to appreciate their performance. And praise helps people to relax, even needs encouragement and appreciation. Right. So some more roles. Number 7, let individuals do most of the talking. So we have to let the employees to talk. Then only we can listen to their performance related matters, issues. Invite self-assessment. So if possible, better to get the employees to do an assessment about himself or herself. and discuss performance, not personality. So we discuss performance about the employees, not the personality. Number 10, encourage analysis of performance. So we have to analyze performance before reaching to a conclusion, and then don't deliver unexpected criticisms. Ag- Agree measurable objectives and a plan of actions. So we have to agree on the objectives. Objectives should be measurable objectives and realistic objectives. The aim should be to end the review meeting on a positive note. What is self-assessment? Self-assessment is a process in which individuals review their own performance using a structured approach as the basis for discussions with their managers in review meetings. For some professions, some jobs, we can implement self-assessment. So employee himself, herself assesses his or her own performance. And then when there are deviations, the employee can honestly discuss such deviations with the immediate supervisor, one who involved in performance review. Okay, then up to you finding advantages and problems of self-assessment as a discussion question. So that's all. Thank you.